You're listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast about one of the most legendary bands of all time, Deep Purple. We take a look at the music, history, and people behind the band Deep Purple and beyond. Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, the first and only podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 155, Gillan, Glory Road. And coming to you from the Dire Straits suburbs of Chicago, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I'm your co-host, John Wrist Pain Matola. I'm just going to list off all my symptoms.
Every week, it's new symptoms.
Every week since my birthday, it's just going downhill.
What's happening with your wrists, man?
Well, I mean, honestly, this has nothing to do with age. I just I fell asleep and I took a nap and I fell asleep on my wrist the wrong way. So I woke up and I'm like, ow, ow, my wrist. Oh, man. So I've been doing this thing for the rest of the day, like massaging like that little fleshy part between your thumb and your, but it's a little better now. But I mean, for a while I thought like, shit, I'm not going to be able to grip anything for like a week. It was really bad.
Oh, man.
But I have a horrible habit of doing that too. Like when I fall asleep, like
how you falling asleep and you're just like, oh, like where's your wrist that you're
But it's true. I'll fall asleep like on my back or on my side. I'm a side sleeper, but then I'll wake up and I'll be like sleeping like with my face in the pillow and my arms down like this, and like they've completely fallen asleep. So I have to like hoist myself around with like the power of like my core, which is, not great at like 3 a.m. when you're fucking our age. And I'm like, like wiggling my arms like this and I get the pins and needles and it's torture. So,
jeez, man.
But this time it was just like, I woke up and I was just like, kind of like in this weird, I don't know what I did, but wrist pain.
Man, well, last week, I don't know if I mentioned it on the show, if we just talked about it before, but I tried to wear this headband that I'm wearing right now to cover up the huge goose egg I got on my head from smashing my stupid face into my daughter's bike right before the show. But just even putting this on for like half a second was so excruciatingly painful that I discarded it on the desk, and then I got down here and I saw my big stupid wound on my head and I put this on and I'm like, hey, it's not too bad. It's got a Mark Knopfler look to it. Wearing my brand new Ian Gillan band Clear Air Turbulence shirt with the Dire Straits look here. So
we'll call you Nate McEnroe Beaudry.
Yeah, Nate McEnroe.
I'm like, where'd you just come from a tennis match?
Yeah, like you start like we're gonna start talking about songs and you're gonna be like, I give that song a 4. I'm like, what are you out of your goddamn mind? Open your ears, you stupid idiot.
I just see you on the other end. You pick up a tennis racket and fling it across the room.
Start smashing my webcam. Oh my goodness. But hey, folks, we didn't come here to talk to you about tennis. We came here to talk to you about Deep Purple or Deep Purple related things. So if you receive some value from the Deep Purple podcast and you want to give us a little value back, you can do so a number of ways. One is by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Another is by buying some merch at our Etsy store. We have t-shirts and mugs available. You can become a patron on Patreon or PayPal for as little as $1 a month. You can show your support and give some value back to us so we can support the show by buying whatever it is we need to buy, whether it's albums, whether it's a hotel room to go see a Deep Purple show in the future, whatever it is. We really appreciate that support. And also you can donate using Cash App to $DPPOD, Deep Purple Pod, DP Pod. Hopefully that's memorable and not hard for anyone to ever possibly remember. And speaking of our patrons, coming in at the executive level, we have at the $25 Uncommon Man tier, we have Ovis Nakvi. At the $21.12 Long Live Rock and Roll tier, we have Richard Fusey. At the £10 tier, Dr. Jill Brees. At the Turn It Up to $11 tier, we have Clay Wambacher, Frank Thielgard Mortensen, Alan Ain't Too Proud to Beg, and Mikkel Steen. And at the $10 Someone Came tier, Ryan M., Jeff Bryce, Gerald Kelly, Victor Campos, Better Call Saul Evans, and oh my goodness, did we even talk about this last week? I don't think we did. Hey-oh.
Hi-oh.
sort of a patron upgrade. I forgot to mention that I think this came in since then. So Kev Roberts and his wonderful children. I noticed that Kev Roberts was still donating to the show, and I was like, hey, just a heads up, Kev, I got the last like couple donations from you, but your children are covering you for the year, so you don't need to do it. And he's like, just what do you say, something like, bump me up with the high rollers, and I'll just keep donating. So thank you very much to Kev Roberts and his what a great family that Roberts clan is. We appreciate it. So now he's at the $10 someone came tier till he decides not to be. So thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
So do you have more patrons or?
No, that's it from that group.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say, Better Call Saul reminds me that the season 6 will finally be here in April of Better Call Saul, which I actually, honestly, I love that as a show, and I thought that it might be over because it's been forever since the last season, but it is coming back probably for its final season.
How many seasons of Breaking Bad were there?
I don't know, probably like there's got to be like 5 or 6 off the top of my head. I feel like that's what a lot of like not like limited run shows or even ones like on Netflix, they'll usually do a max of like 5 or 6 seasons. They don't burn out like, old school TV and do like 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, and like 22 episodes a season.
Yeah.
At least it's funny, like the difference between like American and British shows, like like an American show is like 12 seasons of 22 to 24 episodes a season, and like The Office, and like the British version of The Office is like, I don't know, 12 episodes total or something.
Yeah.
It's like 2 seasons, 6 episodes a season. We're done, we're out. They know when to get out in England when they're making a show, and in America, no, we're just gonna grind this thing into the ground, get every last droplet out of it that we can.
Yeah.
That's the difference. But so I'm just like about, I'm 5 seasons behind on Breaking Bad and 5 more seasons but Better Call Saul, and I'll be all caught up. Haven't seen a single episode of either.
Oh wow, okay. Well, so
I'm bad with TV shows, very very bad.
Well, Breaking Bad is it's a slow burn, but it's worth it when you get there. What season are you on?
I haven't seen a single episode of anything.
Oh, okay. I thought you said. Oh, okay. I thought that you said you just started.
I'm about 5 episodes or whatever. That's why I want to know how many seasons were. However many seasons of Breaking Bad and however many seasons of Better Call Saul. That's how many I'm behind on that whole.
And I probably talked about it too when we started calling him Better Call Saul Evans. Was that I don't usually like prequel series or shows or whatever, and I really enjoyed Breaking Bad. And of course, me being me, I watched Breaking Bad way after it was over, because when it came out, I'm like, I'm not interested because it's popular. I don't know, that part of me still exists.
That doesn't
sometimes.
Sound like you at all. That doesn't sound like the you I've known my entire life.
And what CD, everybody loves this.
I'm still waiting for those things to catch on.
Streaming, fuck that.
I'm surprised because you were an early adopter on that, like before me. Well, like when it came to things in the 90s, you were not having it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I'm not buying 26 goddamn Kiss albums on CD.
Well, back then I just couldn't afford it. I think that was probably why that. But I really got sucked into Better Call Saul. So definitely recommend both series. And it doesn't really matter if you watch the prequel first or not, because it's really focuses more on the other character. And it's a great story in its own right. So there you go.
All right. Very good. Well, hey, quick update to the Deep Dive Podcast Network. We have a new show, Backtracks Aerosmith Revisited. It's hosted by Casey and John. Casey of the podcast Will Rock, the new Van Halen podcast, is branched out and with another friend is doing this kind of they're creating the ultimate Aerosmith mixtape, one track at a time, going through songs kind of randomly, doing it a little differently. They're putting songs on dice and like rolling them and seeing, and then when one falls off, they put another one on that spot and roll again. So it's kind of cool.
Nice.
And they're figuring out, each song so it's like a semi-random roll of the dice, and then they're trying to compose or compile the best Aerosmith mixtape. So pretty cool, pretty good for me. I'm definitely not don't know much about Aerosmith other than, some. I mean, I feel like I know every song on Pump intimately because of when they released all those songs. Like I was like, if I
Yeah.
ever hear Janie's got a gun again, I think I'm gonna get a gun. But
Nady's got a gun.
yeah, exactly. Oh my god, that
But yeah,
song.
they do have a good
They have
catalog.
a
I
great
did
catalog. Like my buddy Chris that I used to have the studio with and that we're in a band together. We actually used to play Chip Away at the Stone.
mm, that's a good one.
When we played, and so like he was a huge Aerosmith fan. So I heard some of their older stuff through him, and every time I hear like one of those old tracks, I'm like, oh, I really dig it. I just never dove too deep into their catalog.
Well, our friend Derek, who I
Mm.
hadn't seen in years until recently, and we had dinner and went out to a concert together, and it was kind of like when you and I started talking and doing this after it's like no time had passed.
Mm.
But huge Aerosmith fan, like you were to the Beatles, I was to Kiss, he was to Aerosmith. So
He saw them a bunch of times. I might remember he had a ton of ticket stubs.
yeah, and I had actually gone to see Aerosmith with him in the, I would say, the mid to late 90s, and I believe it might have even the early 2000s, like several times, and they were always really a great show. And through him, I got into the catalog, and starting with the first album, like their 70s stuff is like fantastic. And even when you go through the 80s stuff all the way up to the popular 90s stuff that when we were in high school, like Get a Grip and Pump was out and all the stuff that was in Wayne's World and everything. I mean, even that stuff is really good. I mean, after that, it kind of gets a little dicey, like kind of a little, what is it? Kind of a little too mainstream, too many outside writers type stuff. Like
Very,
maybe
yeah.
the
They
last,
became very polished. Yeah.
yeah, like maybe the last few albums. But I mean, like I would say, like most of the catalog, 90% of it is really good, and they actually just, um, at least on Spotify, I saw that they released like, or they're releasing like a kind of a rarities. It looks like a CD or box set, like early versions or demo versions of some of their early stuff, which is great. I'd heard one of them from the first album, which was really cool because if you know Aerosmith, on that first album, Steven Tyler kind of changed his voice or sang a little different than he typically did.
Yeah, I mean, I remember with our buddy Scott listening to when God, he must have been in like 7th or 8th grade, and
Yeah.
he wanted like some Aerosmith. I got him like an Aerosmith CD for his birth. It must have been like a greatest hits or something. He
Yeah.
wanted it for his birthday, so I bought it from him. And I remember listening to Dream On, and this would have been, I was familiar with Aerosmith a little bit. And when I remember hearing like the song Dream On, I was like, did they have a different singer in the beginning? And then it's
Yeah.
not really until like at the very, very end of the song where he starts doing some of those screams that you catch glimpses of what he sounded like. But it's so interesting that he had a completely different voice on that album.
Well, I mean, I had read like some of the biographies or whatever, not to belabor the whole thing, but it's really interesting because I guess I can't remember the exact story, but he was like insecure about his voice, or he didn't like his voice, or he wanted it to sound like something different. Like when it was being recorded, he wasn't satisfied with it. So he kind of did like a different voice, which he had used, or there have been, flashes of it in songs later on. But when you hear this early demo version of the song from their first album, he sounds like he always did, regular
Yeah.
Steven Tyler, which was like, man, that would have even made the album sound better, if he had just done that. But I mean, yeah, their early stuff, like most of their 70s stuff is just really raw, like just great rock. I love it. It's just great to put it on. I've got to revisit it. That's definitely a show that I would be interested in.
Yeah, check it out. They've only got the one episode out. So I mean, by the time this our episode comes out, they'll have maybe a few more. But yeah, they only have one episode out yet. It's the first song they started with was Lord of the Thighs, which is a great
That's a good one.
song. It's like I don't think I'd ever heard it before, so I was just kind of like, I just go like Lord of the Thighs. I was like started laughing, and I listened to it. I was like, oh, this is a rocking great 70s rock.
Yeah,
Cool stuff. But yeah, check out
totally.
that show. Good stuff. An Aerosmith's podcast joins the network. We're very happy to have them. All right, so here we are. This week we are here to talk about the Gillan album Glory Road. John, well, kick it off. What do you know about this album? Do you have any history with it? What's the story?
I do, and
Yay!
I have the
Oh,
vinyl.
yes, history
Hi-yo!
and present. Yeah,
Yes.
I think I have the CD back there behind me, but
No, I only remember this because I was going through my vinyl maybe a week or two ago. Is if you're watching the video, you can see that behind me looks like it's a little more pulled together than usual, and that was part of it. I found the record here,
right.
or the album. So that's one of these that I had picked up. But yeah, the album itself, like the rest of the Gillan catalog, I kind of came about or have a history with it, similar to I guess I could just compare it to Whitesnake. It was just kind of chaotic. I was just kind of picking up whatever I could find, not knowing how many albums there were when they came out. And this was all kind of like in that late 90s when they were putting out all sorts of CDs and double compilations and stuff. I was just like, I had no kind of like start or end point for when this stuff came out. So I'm just
Right.
like, if I saw a Gillan album, Glory Road, I grabbed it. And at that time too, I didn't know Ian Gillan, the Ian Gillan band, or Gillan, or what the hell the difference was between. I just thought it was all the same thing, kind of like Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, Rainbow. I mean, this was that basically was all the same thing. But I mean, this obviously we know is like those three things for Gillan were like all separate entities. They have their own musical identities, pretty much. But yeah, this is one of the ones that I had known as, after, was this between Mr. Universe and Future Shock?
Yep.
Yeah. So, of course, like one of the heavier albums, as he got into Mr. Universe and kept going on, like this was just some really, heavy, new wave of British heavy metal sounding type of stuff. So yeah, and I remember really enjoying a lot of this. But again, not really, just kind of enjoying it with all the mixed up jumbled, like I didn't know which album it was from, but I do know that there are some standout tracks on here that I enjoy. So yeah, that's pretty much that.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, the CD's back. I should have probably grabbed it, but I have the I ripped my CDs years ago, so I don't really grab them out too much, except if I need like the liner notes or whatever. But this I think was the last. Or do I have one of the later ones? I can't remember. I might have like Double Trouble, or I think I have Magic. I think is the last one I have, which is the last Gillan album. So not gonna have anything later than that. But so yeah, I have like a completely random assortment. And I remember it wasn't even until talking to you that I thought Clearer Turbulence was the first Ian Gillan band album. It was the only one I had Scarabus as well. I had those two. And then you talking with you were like, "Oh, Child in Time," and I was like, what's that?" And then I look and I'm like, "What the hell? How did this one slip by me?" But it's just whatever was in the record store at the time. And so I got that way late, after having listened to Clear Air Turbulence for years. So yeah, it's I feel like the three splinter groups, like Whitesnake was like, Rainbow was just completely tumultuous. It was just people turning over left and right, firing somebody from the band, but then bringing them back in to record the album and getting new players and new singers. And it's just like complete chaos. Like Whitesnake was like kind of this just like more of a revolving door of, it's Whitesnake to me, at least from the outside looking in, seemed a little more organized. It was a lot of turnover, a lot of different people. And then the Ian Gillan band is just a confusing mess between Ian Gillan band, Gillan, and Ian Gillan is confusing as to, I mean, obviously because of the names, you'd be right to just figure like, I mean, I don't even remember when I figured out Ian Gillan band and Gillan were different things, and that Ian Gillan was something else entirely. It was so confusing. And then what gets really confusing is the early Gillan, which we're still, I mean, Gillan wasn't around for too long. We're still kind of in the early phases of Gillan, or I guess the first half of whatever 4 years. And what we've seen on the first two albums that we've covered is there's all these different versions of both albums that came out in different countries with different track listings and different songs, bunch of repeated stuff. This song's on that album, this song's not on that album. And this one is like, hopefully, one of the last confusing ones where you've got you've got a completely different track order on the we'll get into this later, completely different track order on the UK version versus the US version, and one track that's different because one of these tracks was on the previous Japanese version of Mr. Universe, but it wasn't on the UK version of Mr. Universe, which is why it's on this version of Glory Road. But then for the US version, for whatever reason, they didn't include that one. So be warned, if you're a big fan of this and you're used to listening to the UK order and track listing, we will be doing the US version. Usually we always do the UK version of what came out first, but because of the way that there aren't other versions of those albums, we are going to go with the US version on this one, just so that we're not covering the same songs over and over again. So apologies for that. It's crazy that you make different albums in different countries, but that's where we're at, and that's what we're going to review. So if there's tracks on here, or if you're unhappy with that, many apologies. Go listen to our Japanese version of Gillan and our Japanese version of Mr. Universe, if you want to make up for getting caught up to where you are here. So that's kind of my history with this. Not one of the albums I listened to a million times, but I'm familiar with the Gillan catalog on a lower scale than I was with the Ian Gillan band. So that's my history. Okay, so the lineup is unchanged from the previous album. And before we get to that, a few little quick lead up things. Between the two albums, that the last one we reviewed, which is Mr. Universe, and this one, we have that incident where Ritchie joins Gillan on stage, and in 1980, after the show, he asks Gillan to join Rainbow. Ritchie asks him to join join Gillan, and then they both refuse, and of course Ritchie refuses. But
mutual refusal.
Gillan also refuses, and then they kind of go their separate ways after this crazy drunken night. After this, and from Ian Gillan's autobiography, The Child in Time, he tells a story about he got a call from Tim Rice, who he has a ton of admiration for, and Tim Rice says, "Hey, I'm doing this new musical, Evito, and I want you to be to sing the part of General Perone." And he refuses. He turns that down. He said he really wanted to focus on Gillan. It's kind of funny to think of Gillan and Weber and Rice having like a little reunion there. Would have been kind of cool and interesting. They changed their label to the Virgin label, and they had previously been with like a label called Acrobat, and they had to fund all the money for the Mr. Universe album themselves. And the proceeds for the new album were going to have to go towards paying off their old debt that they had from getting this, because Gillan had got out of the music business, gotten back in, had this motorcycle business, had this hotel. I don't know that they were huge financial successes, so he's kind of almost starting from the ground up at this point with with his finances. So that's kind of where they're at leading into this. And of course, bass John McCoy, drums Mick Underwood, guitar Bernie Tormé, keyboards Colin Towns, and Ian Gillan, of course, on vocals. Okay, we've got Paul Chaz Watkins as the producer, also produced by John McCoy, mixed by John McCoy, and recorded at Kingsway Recorders, Ian Gillan's studio. And that leads us to what you already kind of teased us with, which is the album art. So what do you think of this album cover, John?
Hey, wow, it even has like the ring of like my album cover.
Yeah, this is a record scan right here. So
yeah, I would say not necessarily the most interesting album cover, but I actually like it. I always thought it was very effective looking because of the colors. Red and black are very bold, or red on black. I like the Gillan kind of has a logo, like it's I don't know if maybe it's his autograph or a signature, or but it's in cursive. And I like how it kind of has that paint splatter type of thing. Like it's a really cool thing that bands do sometimes. Like if you have a really effective kind of like it's just the logo and the album title. Like if you just have it like simple yet effective, like it can look really cool. And I like this because it's understated, but it's still really bold
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah. Yeah. I think simple is usually better on album covers, and I think this is a great one. I mean, you've got a similar Gillan logo on the UK version of Mr. Universe. So this is kind of one of the early, but I think this is kind of a refined version of that Gillan logo that looks a
Mhm.
little different. And then you see this one kind of repeated for the rest of the existence of Gillan. It's looking more like this version of the logo. Um, and they kind of stuck with that after changing things around quite a few times. You see this Gillan logo reprised a little bit more.
Actually, you know what? I actually just looked up the Ian Gillan autograph, and that actually
Yep.
that is yeah, that is his autograph. I figured that would be because it would be very random if it were just some kind of. It looks like it. You know what I mean?
It'd be great to have Glory Road autographed by Ian Gillan, like right underneath it.
Yeah, that's actually a
It's like
cool idea.
every Gillan album is autographed by Ian Gillan. Um, so that's the front cover. Very simple. Inside, you get the sleeve here. Has track listing and lyrics. Pretty standard stuff. Um, you got the backside here. You got some cool photo. Gillan with his traditional jean vest. John McCoy looking like the badass that he is. Mick Underwood kind of looked like Elton John there somehow. Bernie and then Colin as well. And then you've got the label here from the record. This is the UK version that we're looking at, which starts with Unchain Your Brain. The US version has a different track listing. Sleeping on the Job there is this track that's from Mr. Universe that is on this one, but was not on the US version. And then that's the flip side of it. Then that is the back cover with the track listing kind of all written out, and it looks like Gillan's handwriting, because if you've ever seen like his lyrics sheets, it kind of look, as far as I can tell, it kind of looks like his um, handwriting. It says Gillan is, and it says, does it say Ian Gillan or just Gillan? Ian Gillan
Gillan.
vocals, John McCoy bass. Just goes through the whole thing. Pretty simple. Then the American version has the RSO label from Virgin. It's got this, so this got the different track listing, opening with Running Whiteface City Boy, and then closing outside one with Your Mother Was Right. And then the back of the US version, which is kind of similar to the one that you have there. You must have the US.
Yep.
Does yours match that running order?
Yes, and it has the same. As soon as I saw it, I knew it was different. See, because mine has it. It's not in the. I think that's actually cooler. The cursive or the Gillan handwriting
Yeah.
tracks
Yep.
and the band and everything. So this one looks a little less. It kind of pops a little less, but yeah, that's the one that I have.
But still pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the album art right there, and the art was done by the photography by Brian Cook, and he was a British photographer for Island Records, and the sleeve designed by Cook Key, which is Brian Cook with Trevor Key. They formed this company and did some album covers together in the later part of the 70s and going into the 80s. So they had their company to make album covers. Okay, so before we get into the tracks, we have to, of course, thank our core level patrons. Coming in at the $7.77 Keep It Warm Rat tier, we have Michael Vader. At the episode $6.66 tier, Steve Coldwell, Arthur Smith, Anton Glaving, and Mike Catan. At the $6.65 Almost Evil tier, we have the one and only Kenny Wymore. At the $5.99 Nice Price tier, Fielding Fowler, Robert Smith, and Peter from Illinois. And at the $5 Money Lender tier, we have John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Elman, Alexei the Perfect Stranger Slepikoff, James North, Mark Hodgetts, Will Porter, Zwapper the Electric Alchemist, and Tim Southern Cross Johnson. Thank you so much to all of our amazing core level patrons. We could not do it without you. And I've got my final box of Boston baked beans. They expire the best, or I should say expire. I'm sure they're fine, but the best buy on them is just about 2 weeks from now. So
hurry up.
So yeah, it's this week, and for next week's show, I got to start chowing down on these things. I don't want them to go stale. Although they're kind of crunchy anyway. I don't know how you'd be able to tell.
I had some Cadbury mini eggs.
Ooh,
earlier.
You getting started early.
Oh yeah, as soon as they get in the store, like I grab at least one bag of them and try and make them last. Although I know I'm gonna have to, but typically I don't love milk chocolate, but the Cadbury mini eggs are the only ones that I think are so good.
You don't like the full size ones?
Oh, yeah, I do. But I mean, if I have one of those up in the pantry too, just waiting for me. But I try not to like those that you can get them individual, of course, but they also have like the 4-pack, and I try not to get the 4-pack because I'll just be, as sweet as they are, I'll be popping those things all night. And it's just like made the mistake of like looking at nutritional facts because we're at that age now. And I'm just like, great, this is over like half of like my daily recommended sugar intake if I just have one of these, like,
oh God.
And it's not even good sugar.
It's filled with pure sugar. It's, oh man.
I mean, you eat you open it up, and the yolk part, you look at it and like, when you were a kid, you're like, oh, it's great. And it's got the little yellow and it looks like an egg. But as an adult, you're like, there's no way this isn't just like pure freaking sugar.
Oh, of course.
this is going to be so bad for me, but it tastes so good.
Yeah,
it tastes so good.
They're irresistible. Every year it gets worse and worse. I got to stop. Okay. So the UK version, like I said, opens up with Unchain Your Brain. This is the US version. So this is going to open with, in traditional form, by a Colin Towns instrumental piece. Running Whiteface City Boy is the name of the track that opens this one. So let's
vocals by Gillan.
By Gillan. Here we go.
Yeah, I love this.
I apologize.
I was running through an empty street. Turn the corner, I could feel the heat. I'm on the face of the white-faced city boy. I knew a knife was the only way for a kid living day to day. Who cares for a white-faced city boy? Raised in a hard town. Nobody pushes me around.
What an opening song.
That's pretty classic Gillan. Reminds me of Drinking with the Devil. Can you hear it?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Yeah, everybody is on fire on this track. It's just so hard driving.
But at the same time, it's weird. It's like a weird song. But I mean, I say that in the best way.
Well, because in the verses, you got like the dive bomb guitar, and you have the piano going. You get these great dynamics right here.
Really bassy. Like he's got the 5-0 switch all the way cranked up to the left there.
Mm-hmm.
starting to fade out before even the 3-minute mark.
Yeah, that was in and out.
It's an all-out assault.
Yeah, what a way to open the album.
And when we get to Unchain Your Brain, we'll have to imagine what that would be as the opener. And, you know, if you're in the UK and you're not used to this way to open it, it might sound really alien to you, but this is the US version. So, John, what do you think of Running Whiteface City Boy?
5 for this one.
He's kicking it off with a 5, folks.
Oh, coming in hot. This is one of my go-to tracks on this album. I always thought it was so great because I'm interested to hear why you think the song is weird, because it's like, I feel like it's definitely like just like kicks the door in for the first track on the album. And I acknowledge the the title is kind of an odd Gillan-esque title. You know, you're like, okay, this is kind of a weird like title or whatever, but he makes it work with the lyrics, and the performances are just like fantastic. And I think there are just some like good like headbanging moments in there. The Bernie Torme kills it as usual, like just great guitar playing, guitar tone, like everybody. And of course, Gillan sounds like amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't say weird in like a bad way.
No, right.
But
I'm just like, what about
there's
it?
something like sort of like it's got this driving rhythm and everything to the riff, but there's something about what Colin Towns does that always has this like little whimsical spin on it that I think is really cool, because it's not trying to be like, oh, we're all dark and heavy and blah blah blah. It's they put these little like light-hearted sort of things in there, and like his like the way that he was matching the guitar there is super.
Yeah.
Like I love it. I love the style that he brings to it.
Yeah, it's very Gillan-esque sounding. It's very like it could have been a straight ahead rocker. Like he could have done this with Purple or Sabbath or something, and it could have sounded darker or heavier, but those touches are what makes it a Gillan song, a classic sounding Gillan song.
Yeah, you've got almost the same thing, and like I said in Rainbow, with like Drinking with the Devil, it's that chorus is very similar, and but Rainbow plays it a lot more straight and a lot more like, you know, trying to be all, you know, Gillan also just has about him like kind of a silliness that has always been really appealing to me. He's not a guy that's like, oh, I'm taking myself so seriously. He always throws in like little double entendres or just silly little lines and stuff that'll make you laugh. He's not looking to be like, oh, look how badass I am, you know. So I've always really just loved that about him and about these various bands. So yeah, that's what I mean when I kind of say it's just a little weird, but it's great because you've got the guitar solo, and then you go right into like a very John Lord style kind of solo. The only thing kind of setting it apart is he's using the pitch wheel a little bit, which is not a signature Lord move. So yeah, that kind of sets it apart, but you've got this really good back and forth, but they cram a lot into 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I like that too, is that they also go with kind of a traditional Deep Purple, Rainbow, whatever, like guitar solo right into a keyboard solo, even though neither one of them is excessively long, like you said, in and out.
Yeah. So yeah, I will give this one a 4. Really like it. I think it's a strong album opener. Just really gets you up tempo, gets you really excited for what's coming next. And what is coming next? Well, the next track is Are You Sure? Distorted bass. It's a very Deep Purple sounding riff.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, it's a really heavy riff and a really heavy song without being like metal heavy.
yeah, that's the thing. You get these heavy riffs and heaviness, but the keyboards lend that little lightness to it. That, for all I know, might rub some people the wrong way, but I think I've always thought it's great.
Yeah, this is just one of these really interesting riffs too. It's like you said, almost purplish. And even with Bernie Torme doing that whammy over there, like you could picture Ritchie doing it, but it doesn't sound like Ritchie. So I think it's really cool that like all the musicians here in this band has its own definite style.
Gillan's feeling himself on this one. He's like losing it. Hey, I like he says, "I'll be your confidante." I've never heard it pronounced that way before.
Of course.
Apparently, he's never seen the Golden Girls. That's not how it's pronounced. Really revving up here.
Oh, that bass line by McCoy is just so heavy.
Just really wringing that neck.
I like how that's like a regular term in our vernacular now. Yeah, he's really wringing that neck.
Could be a term in everyone's vernacular.
Like, wow, that's very 1960s of you.
I refuse to believe they haven't said it in the 60s. Confidante. He's really like, he's almost clipping on the vocals in this one. He's singing so loud and powerful. He's got a growl that I don't recall from many other albums.
Oof.
Damn.
That's another one, just hit you right in the face.
Yeah, man. This one's a little bit longer, but still just another
Heck yeah.
roaring heavy track. All right, my confidante, what do you say about that one?
Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure that it's a 5.
Oh, hey,
Oh, I'm hitting you with 2 5s. I can't take
coming
it.
in hot for John. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. Oh, this is another one. This is another go-to song for me on here. The Gillan vocals are just I mean, for the most part, they're dry. Like
very, yeah.
like it, but I mean the energy that he brings to it, it almost sounds like he's like, yeah, I did this in one take. Like this was his first take
Yeah.
type of vocal performance. And again, like just the music, the production and the way that the band is playing it just sounds so massive.
Mhm.
Just with like the tone on Torme's guitar and like the bass line. Like I'm enjoying John McCoy's bass in that same Neil Murray from Whitesnake type of way.
Mhm.
It's just like you really hear it out front there, just kind of like just thumping along. And I mean, the riff is just really heavy. And like you pointed out, that if this was like done, maybe five or so years earlier with Deep Purple playing it, it could have been like a heavier kind of in rock style song. But like with these guys playing it, like it would have sounded completely different. Like there were some things in there, like kind of like the use of the whammy bar in the song. This is like something that Ritchie does all the time, but it doesn't sound like it sounds like Bernie Torme.
Yeah.
Like all these musicians are very distinctive. Like, I mean, they developed a sound and they all had their own sounds, which, that's the mark, I think, of a great musician is like, who's playing. It just doesn't sound generic.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, that that to me it almost reminds me of like an 80s reunion era, like it could have been a track on Perfect Strangers or House of Blue Light sort of sound to the way that they're doing that riff. But yeah, at the same time, it's got this really cool groove to it. And then you've got like when the guitar solo comes in, it's kind of reminiscent of, I think it's the Japanese album where you've got that Bernie Torme solo where he's basically almost unaccompanied. It kind of had that really stripped down sound to it. Although you did hear the thumping bass and the drums, and then the keys came in after a little bit, but you still had that stripped down, like, oh, Torme is going to let loose, but he doesn't. He teases you a little bit, does a little something, and then they go back into the chorus. But yeah, great track. I am going to give this one another 4. Really, really like it. Love it. It's a really, really solid track. Oh, and I forgot to mention this one is written by Gillan, Torme, and McCoy, and the next 2 are as well. So, okay. Brings us to our next track, which is not the Dave or Coverdale version of Time and Again, but the Gillan version of Time and Again. So here we go. So like some backwards guitar there. Sounds almost like steel drums.
Right.
Could be accidentally on purpose. So they just melted your face off for 2 straight songs. They're giving you a little break here.
It's funny you said accidentally on purpose. It sounds like accidentally on purpose vocals.
It does. I'm trying. I can't put my finger on if it's an effect on his vocals or if he's double tracking it.
I think he's double tracking it.
I think so too. I'm leaning towards that, but I could be convinced otherwise. That is a very interesting. That whole chorus section has a really interesting chord progression.
Yeah.
You'll listen.
This part
more
definitely
closely as you go around.
feels like the Gillan band is stepping into the 80s, and the keyboard kind of like ringing out kind of has that kind of almost like an 80s ballad.
Yeah, they're all wearing blazers and have skinny ties on during this part.
Yeah, like early 80s, not like power ballad 80s.
Oh no, the town says the guitar always doing this. I love that chord that they're doing right there. We need someone really smart musically to tell us what that chord is, like an add 13 chord or something that's just thrown in there. It's a really interesting chord. You get a slight flashes of Ian Gillan band on this one for me anyway. Yeah, I think he's just doing an incredible double tracking job.
Yeah.
Like honestly, one of the best double tracking jobs I've ever heard in any song ever. That's so spot on. chord. That was a really weird guitar fill. See, that's the kind of Gillan silliness I love. Always damage my brain. I'm just gonna fade out on this.
Yeah, like this part just kind of feels like it's the morning after the party, the 80s high school party, and everybody's waking up and just being like, oh God, what happened?
we were running Whiteface City Boys. Are you sure? I don't remember. And they go, no, this is them remembering it. Oh, geez, what did I do? Oh, man. Time and again. Here we go. What do you think of that track, my friend?
I'll give this one a 3.5. I definitely think it was enjoyable. It has nothing to do with the fact that it was brought down a few notches from the first couple of face melters that we had on this, but it just definitely I think like a good middle of the road song, and like you said, had some interesting stuff in there. Like you said, those chords are probably like some crazy crazy jazz chords or something.
I'm dying to know what that is.
Yeah, but
But
yeah,
I
I think
this
it's
is one you could just
yeah.
like easily look up the tab for the or the chords guitar ultimate guitar kit tabs or whatever.
Yeah.
Although I'm gonna do it while you talk about it some more.
But yeah, but that's it. I can stretch it out. Yeah, I think I would say a good like I said before, a good just middle of the road song. I wouldn't necessarily call it filler. I just think that it brings the mood down a little bit.
Yeah.
It kind of pulls things back a little bit after the first couple of really energetic songs, and now where does the album go? Who knows?
All right, I'm looking at the I'm looking at the time and again on Chordify. Choose your instrument: guitar, ukulele. Somebody's transcribed this for ukulele. I don't think it's going to tell me. F sharp. No, I don't think that's an F sharp. Sometimes these things are wrong. Nah, F sharp's not that weird. All right,
F sharp. What are you, out of your mind?
Oh, that's that crazy chord he was doing. F sharp. Unbelievable. No wonder I didn't recognize it. I will give this one another 4. I really dig it for completely different reasons than the other songs. I love the cool like mellow vibe of it, and I just love that chord progression on the chorus. And I just think Gillan's, if he is indeed, I'm not like 100, I'm like 90% sure that he's double tracking that. If he is, that is one of the most spot on double tracking jobs I've ever heard. And I think there's enough of a subtle difference from line to line that would lead me to believe it's double tracked versus just an effect. But either way, the effect of it is really cool. And he doesn't generally go too heavily affected like that, whether it's done, with an effect or him doing it double tracked. But it's a cool effect. I like it. And it's a really good middle track on the side. All right, that leads us to the next track, which is No Easy Way.
Nice. I love that. Like you feel like he's jamming. You can really hear the room.
Yeah. Like an octave around there or something. Yeah.
I could listen to Bernie Torme do this all freaking day.
Yeah, yeah, it's incredible. So underappreciated.
A lot of hints of Randy Rhoads in there.
Yeah.
They're very similar players.
Stereo effect, little panning left to right there, right to left. It's like a horse running away. Like a weird, like, Space Invader sound or something almost.
Really odd that they let that trail off and then faded back in.
Yeah. Only we kept going for another 20 minutes and they had to.
Yeah.
Little John took the easy way. He said, bye-bye to the light of day. He didn't need a gun at all. He went flying and he took the fall. There ain't no easy way. I said there ain't no easy way.
Like a like barroom feel with that thumping piano.
I could have told you there's no easy way.
Another double tracking job there.
It's funny, we were talking about Aerosmith earlier. This has like some Aerosmith kind of qualities in it.
Oh yeah.
They remind me of like stuff from like Rocks.
Little Ann took the easy way. She said, take the money and run away. Just lie down and look away. Save the money for a rainy day. But there ain't no easy way. I said there ain't no easy way. Everything.
It's not as isolated as in the other tracks, but you still hear John McCoy has that like nice distortion on his bass.
Well, I think when him and Torme are playing together, they're really creating this really crunchy, like heavy sound.
Please don't cry. Please don't be miserable. You may have problems and you may want to die. Please don't worry. Let it all pass by. There is no easy way to shake off sorrow. Maybe the only way. Think about tomorrow.
Like a motivational speaker Gillan there.
Ain't no easy way.
Bassy sound of his guitar solo again.
Yeah, it sounds like he's using the neck pickup.
Yep. I wonder if he has like a humbucker on his on the neck pickup. Look up a picture of that here. it looks just like a stock Strat. I like Colin Towns is kind of like mimicking him with the pitch wheel, like what he would be doing on the whammy bar. You gotta love a nice trade-off solo there.
Always love a nice trade-off solo. We love that.
I mean, what kind of Deep Purple fans would we be if we didn't? I don't like it.
Bad ones.
There you go. All right. There's no easy way to ask you this, John, but what are you going to rank? No easy way.
Well, that's easy for me. 4.
4 for no easy way.
4. Yes. I definitely love this. This is back with the first couple of songs, in my opinion. Love me a good Bernie Torme solo at the beginning with like nothing else. I just love that. I thought it was kind of weird that they faded it out and then faded in the new song. I thought it would have been cool if they had gone into him sustaining that last note and then bam, right into the song. I think that would have been cool.
Yeah, but if they had to splice it together with like a different take just to get like that ringing out into it.
Yeah, but that's the only really, I guess, problem I had with the song, if you could call it that. I mean, everything else about it, I thought it was a great heavy song. Like you said, that bar room feel, like it has that. It's funny too that we were talking about early Aerosmith, but I think it's that part where the guitar and the bass both go. That's the part where it reminds me of something that, just I think the combo of like that pace, those notes, the way it sounded like some early Aerosmith song or songs, but I mean, it's definitely a good thing. And I like the dynamic, how the song was arranged, how like they kind of slowed down and, Gillan kind of did that, that kind of softer part.
Yep.
Kind of like
a little speech that he gives.
Yeah, it kind of had like a pictures of home type of thing where it kind of like went into that kind of slower part before it kicked back in. Type of thing. And of course, you got to love like the Gillan lyrics too, like not the motivational speech. He's like, "Don't be miserable." It's like, it's just so
That's
weird.
what I'm talking about. What could be more motivational than that?
But it's so him. Like you could have said like, and I guess for lack of a better phrase, like a more poetic or lyrical way. But he's just like, no, I'm gonna say it like Ian Gillan.
And he's like, you may have problems, you may want to die. Oh, geez,
calm down.
Don't sugarcoat it.
But yeah, definitely.
Most people would say you might be feeling blue. He's like, you might want to die. Oh God.
This one was great though.
Yeah, I'll give this one a 3.5. I like it. It's a little bit bordering on, well, maybe it's bordering on the whole blues filler territory for me. But again, it's done with a great energy to it. It's a lot of fun, and it's cool. You've got that guitar. I think even on the album, listening to it all continuously, you're not necessarily like, I never really associated that guitar solo as being part of the song. It's more like just like this interlude between songs. But when you play them one at a time, it obviously is incorporated as part of the song. But yeah, it's cool. It's interesting guitar solo. I love the trade-off solos at the end. Good stuff. Okay, so the next track is the American track, Your Mother Was Right, from the American version. This would have been where what was on the UK version of Sleeping on the Job, from the Japanese version of Mr. Universe would have been in this place. So here we go. And at first when I first looked at this, I was like, wait, was your mother wasn't that on Mr. Universe? But I was thinking about the song about the sister, which is your sister's on my list.
Yeah.
Holy moly. But okay, your mother was right.
This is called for Gillan fans only. And it's just that, for Gillan fans only. And the reason we decided to call the album
Okay,
for Gillan
this
fans...
is
Whoops. This song is about your mother.
Wait, is this it? Okay, here we go. Okay,
This
so
must
sorry,
be
so-
the later version, right?
Yeah,
From
we
the
didn't
For
even
Gillan
get to
Fans
the
Only
we didn't even
version.
get to the different version. So the Gillan fans only, which we were going to talk. I have in my notes to talk about after this. But yeah, this was included in parts of the double album version of this that they released. But we're going to get into that later. So here we go.
Every night as we stood by our tree, I would touch you and you would touch me.
Heyo.
Oh, the sun is rising. When you kiss me, my back would run cold. I would shiver, my knees would fold. Oh, you're paralyzing. Get down, your mother was right. You did destroy me every night. You're just fooling, your mother was right. I can't take it, you ruined my life.
Heavy lyrics.
Skin touching, I was tight as a knot. I was bursting when you told me to stop. No, you'd make the ground.
I'm hoping this is the right version. The production of this sounds different. So I'm hoping it's the right one.
Oh boy.
Destroyed me every night. You just fooling your
It says Gillan fans only, which would have been on that original British version. So.
Secrets you promised I could see and we could share.
Going Ian Gillan band mode.
That glistened on your skin, and I will dare to offer to you my love, my love.
Getting some of that same reverb on this solo here. This is like full on prog Gillan.
Yeah.
I remember as we stood by our tree, I would touch you deliciously. We never made it. Get down, your mother was right. You destroyed
This song is really weird.
Yes.
I say that in a very loving way, but
This song is about your mother.
and how she was right. Original name for the song was "Your Mother's on My List."
Ooh.
Ew. Very weird and creepy way to end the side of the album. Still, there's still like stuff going on as it fades out.
Okay.
You just imagine them listening to this after it's mixed. Like, we left all that in.
Damn it.
I was like turning off my equipment and packing it up, and I hear the case clunking around. But all right, your mother
While
was
John
right,
Lord
John.
is while John Lord is still playing the outro solo to I don't know, Fire in the Basement or whatever it was.
I think it was the cut runs deep. All right, what do you think of this one?
I'll give this one a 3. It's I feel like it's kind of a filler song. It has some good elements in it, but overall doesn't grab me as much as the other songs on the album so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, it's a really kind of unusual proggy type of thing. Not too into it so far as part of this collection. Also, I was thinking during this song that I misspoke earlier, that the no easy way, I said that there was a slow part which made me think of Pictures of Home, but it was actually Never Before
Oh, okay.
from Machine Head, because I was thinking like the two songs are next to each other, so I had to clarify that. So
So don't. Yeah,
somebody,
if you're in the middle of composing an angry email to John right now, oh, what are you talking about? It's all like- Yeah, you can stop.
or if somebody is in the
save
middle
it
of
in your
composing an angry text to me, you know who you are.
Yeah, just save it in your draft. Well, the text has already been fired off, I'm afraid. Yeah, I agree 100% with you. I'll give this one a 3 as well. I like it. I really like the "your mother was right" part, the chorus. There's a lot this, I love the weird stuff in the Ian Gillan band, but for me, a lot of the weird stuff they did in this one just didn't quite land for me the same way that the Ian Gillan band weird stuff lands with me. So I appreciate it. I think it's a fun track, but yeah, it's a little disjointed, but a good, good solid song. And I think a really good performance by Gillan. Yeah. And with that, we can flip this bad boy over onto side 2 and start off with the first track on that side, which is On the Rocks. Obligatory wind sounds to open it up. Oh, the ocean. They're Revolution 9. Seconds of it, which I can tolerate a lot more.
Right, things are going off the rails here.
They carried this over from the side 1.
This album's getting a little avant-garde here for me.
Yeah, it started
No,
off
it's
as
actually
most
pretty good.
straight up rock, but sounds like 80s Pink Floyd.
A little tarot woman going
Yeah,
on here.
he beat me to it by about half a second there. I was just,
Here. Dunga-dunga-nut, dunga-dunga-nut, dunga-dunga-nut. It's not to say it's not good.
no, it's great. And then now you're like in a cathedral somewhere and hearing that church organ. So I think Torme had his chance to open up a song with a 2-minute solo, and now Towns just got his chance. Almost exactly the same runtime of 2 minutes each.
Children will play in the streets, crying with glass in their feet.
Ouch.
Nowhere to go, nothing to do, no place to go.
Need to go to the podiatrist, I think.
They sent you to an institution. They
Nice
turned your heads
tight little
behind
riffs
your
there.
back.
Yeah, all right, picked up, got a little groove going on.
Now you're on the rocks with broken wings. Once you were proud to be man, you carried out your own tiny part of the plan. You would decide to gamble your pride, but you would decide.
I enjoyed the way it picked up.
And now they've got your name and number.
I think they're going to like almost like a halftime feel in the verse. It's really matching the rhythm exactly, which doesn't always work for me, but it works pretty good in the song.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
And you never running high.
It sounded like Dio anymore.
I just feel like the keyboard parts here are very like Don Airey-ish.
Yeah, like that proggy kind of feel to him.
Yeah, I don't know. I just yeah, I just feel like it's kind of like sounds very like much like what something Don Airey would do.
Not a bad thing.
Of course not.
Sounds very Ozzy all of a sudden. For a few
As soon as I mentioned Don Airey.
seconds.
They're trying to erase your face. Once you were a working man, now you're on the rocks with broken hands. Oh, hold tight,
When they're doing that, they expect it to really kick in, but it comes back at like that same tempo.
your eyes on the demon in disguise. You must never close your eyes right. Each night they come back to you given birthright. Hold tight, just remember the feeling deep inside you. And you're never running high.
This part's very Don Airey.
Listen to that bass.
Damn. Back to the beach. Seagulls? No, no wind. All right. All right. What do you think of On the Rocks? It's kind of a. I feel like we just took a weird journey together.
We did, and it wasn't in Florida.
No, nope. This one it was on the rocks somewhere else.
I'll give this one a 3.5. Because it definitely had a lot of good elements in it, but I think you were right. There were parts of it that were really kind of out there, and
Yeah.
and it's
I
not
generally
like I mean,
generally like.
and I mean, yeah, and I enjoy things like that. I just think that in terms of it being a cohesive part of the overall song, might have been a little bit lacking.
Mhm.
But I mean, there are some parts in it that I did like. I mean, the kind of the meat of the song, you know, that the main structure I enjoyed, and I really liked how there were parts of that that reminded me of Don Airey. I don't know why, but it's never a bad thing.
Nope.
But you know, again, another song that didn't quite grab me the same as some of the earlier tracks on the album. Now that we're kind of going into full blown wackaloon territory here. Yeah.
Yeah. I will give this one a 3. I like a lot of it. There's a lot of it that's very weird, like you mentioned. Ian Gillan mentions in an interview with DJ Phil Easton about this song. He says, it's basically one of my little hobby horses. It's about how I think people have generally become de-animalized in modern society and are conditioned to do a certain things from a very early age. It's summed up in the lyrics, quote, "Once you were a flying thing, now you're on the rocks with broken wings," which sums up mankind for me at the moment. It's a sad song, but as always, there's a bit of optimism later on. That's what he's saying. This one was written by Gillan and Towns. I think it's weird. It makes me. Did you ever watch Flight of the Conchords?
I don't think so.
So it's one of my all-time favorite shows, and there's this one scene where it's just, you know, these two guys from New Zealand who write ridiculous songs and you know, play shows to like 3 people at a library and weird stuff like that. But there's this one scene where Brett, one of the characters, is feeling really down, so Jermaine, the other guy in the duo, writes a song about him to like build up his confidence about and it goes in like these really weird places. It makes them both very uncomfortable, and then when he's done playing it, Brett says, "This is another one of your weird songs." And that's what when I hear it, like I keep having that play in my head when I hear this is another one of your weird songs.
It's true.
But yeah, it's which to me is great. Like I love, but to me, like in songs like what song is it on Clear Turbulence where they go into that like Bollywood style like number, and you can just see like people dancing in your head, and it's like a weird thing, but it's a little more cohesive, this one. And I really just generally as a rule don't like it when people like ba 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 and are singing along with like the exact rhythm of a riff. That's not like my favorite
Mhm.
it's not my favorite vocal delivery, but you know, it's an enjoyable song. It's not a bad song. And I usually love when they go weird places, but this one's just a little too out there for me anyway. So
Gotcha.
which leads us to our next track, which is called If You Believe Me.
I could believe in you. The way you left me hot and helpless. I could believe in you. The way your kisses left me hot and helpless. I could believe in you.
This is great.
I want you.
It's hard to argue with this.
Oh, oh, oh,
we talk often about the lazy blues song. This is like the
Yep.
this is like the hard working blues song.
I was just thinking about the lazy blues song.
This isn't your place in line.
I mean, it kind of is a little bit. But I mean, at least he isn't going. Whatever the hell he was doing in that song. Love that.
Yeah, it's got a very live feel. I'm not sure how they recorded it, but very good live feel to it.
But you know what this song has that the last one had? Is that him following along the rhythm of the da, na, na, na.
Yeah, but it's not as.
Yeah, but now I'm noticing it in this song, and I'm not really loving it for the chorus.
It's funny because I didn't even notice it this time.
Well, one of us always has to be on notice.
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, see, this is not your standard blues solo. This is Bernie Torme plays the blues.
Yep. It's off the rails there.
Oh, yeah.
Classic example of like all those notes and everything he was doing was wrong, and it created all this discord. But something that if you're a master, you can pull off. And if I did it, it would sound absolutely awful. You have to know all the rules inside and out before you start breaking them. Somebody's late coming in on the keys. There we go. He was like, he was making his way across the studio to the piano. Oh shit, he ended 4 bars early. Starts picking up the pace.
But now you have a very traditional piano solo after all that.
This is great. Those little bass slides are great.
I love it.
He's going from traditional blues to now he's like a jazz solo, basically. Back into the blues. Nope, he's back to jazz. He's like going back and forth between blues and jazz. You could subtly hear those Gillan singing along with the piano too. You wonder if that was like
Yeah.
a
I
different,
was
like if
gonna
that
say
was done while he was doing the vocals, or was that done like when he was off mic while they were recording it or something? the sound of like a traditional to it, like or something that would have been the cover, you know, something that they loved from the 50s or something. No, it's not. This one has got credit to Gillan, McCoy, Torme, and Underwood.
If you believe me, if you believe me, if you believe me, if you believe me, oh, 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 if you believe me, baby, I'll never let you go. No, no,
Powerful ending there.
That was a wild ride.
That
Another
was
wild ride.
Ian Gillan's wild ride here. All right, what are you gonna rank this one, my friend?
You know, this was, I don't know. I think we have to have a new category of song. Like we have the lazy blues song, and then we have the unusual blues song. Like that was, I don't know what to think about this. I'll give it a 3.5 solely on the strength of Bernie Torme's guitar solo, because that's something that I like. I mean, I just think that like when you do a song like this, which is like typical blues, which it was, and then you do something like wildly different, like that was not a blues solo. I mean, you know that he knew it too. He's just like, yeah. I'm just gonna, you know, do my early 80s guitar heroics over this whole thing. But then, and even the piano solo, you're just like, oh, okay, he's doing oh no, wait a minute, no, he's not. Although it would have been really wild if he did like some crazy ass, like, you know, Moog solo, or I don't know, some kind of space noises, but I just feel like it sounded like a jam. And the chorus was just kind of, after a while, I would say it kind of got droning, like, you know, it's just kind of like, all right. But there were so many great elements in there, which you could tell came from a jam, like the bass and a bunch of other stuff like that. And I mean, even the way that it opened with Gillan and the guitar and the sound of the room, and, you know, just him sounding so good. I mean, I'll give it that for the elements of the song. The song as a whole is just kind of doesn't really do it for me.
Yeah, I don't think there's from a songwriting perspective, not a lot. You know, it's credited to. Well, it doesn't look like Towns is credited on it, unless I just missed something when I was making my notes. But
Right.
yeah, it's one of those, just everyone's going to get together and jam, and when you've got a strong enough band, it doesn't really, you can throw whatever you want into a song like this and it's going to sound good. Like Gillan's vocals are outstanding. I loved like the little intro he does. Yeah, bam 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 was pretty much just a little run up and down for the chorus. But they did a lot of, I like the little call and response between Gillan and Torme on the guitar and vocals was really cool.
Yeah.
I love the piano. I thought the piano solo was great as well. Like guitar and piano solos were both awesome. And yeah, I also give it a 3.5 if I didn't say that already. I think it's a good, hardworking, unusual blues song. It's a little long, I mean, which I understand, and I think this is one of those ones, if they could have pared this down to 4 or 5 minutes tops on the album, but live, you would love to see them throw all that other stuff in there. It's like a live song done in the studio, and sometimes that doesn't always translate the best, but again, it's a good song with incredible performances, so what's not to like? Okay, so next track up, the second from last on the album. This is Untrain Your Brain, which would have opened the album on the UK version. So let's take a listen to this. And keep in mind that this is the album opener to many. Gee, this doesn't sound like a good album opener at all.
Shut your mouth.
Needs more energy.
You tell me what you're never gonna be. I'll show you what you just can't see.
It's funny, this is almost exactly the same length as Running Whiteface City Boy.
Wow.
They're bringing back the early part of the album at the end here.
Yeah. Yeah, just more kind of straight ahead rock, which I'm enjoying.
Out from the spaceships. Close encounters. Nice. Very in the face fill that Nick did on the drums there.
That's probably a better thing that this was a little bit later on the album, because they would have put this at the beginning and they would have front loaded all the best songs.
Yeah. I would have worn you out too. You need to have a little bit of a come down after starting that song.
Yeah. Ooh, it leaves you on like hanging.
Yeah, it really leaves you wanting more, and it's interesting because it's like, I don't know if it was just if it's actually happening or if I just perceived it that way, but it sounded like as it was fading out, they were cranking up the reverb, so you were getting this like reverberated, like it was marching off into the distance, which was pretty cool.
But it's like there's no resolution, so you're like, ah.
Yeah, and it's short. It's a short song. So, what do you think of "Unchain Your Brain"?
4.
All right.
I didn't. I mean, I love that it's the same as the kind of the stuff in the beginning of the album, but it doesn't. Yeah, I guess it doesn't hold the same weight with me as the other ones. Like I definitely like it, just like maybe a little bit less. I don't know, maybe because it's like kind of similar to maybe Running White-Faced City Boy, like just kind of that fast tempo type of thing. Like I guess if you have to like one or the other, this one is one that I'd like that one first and this one second.
Yep.
If I had to like pick a favorite, but it's definitely up there. How I love we love a good fast paced banger, so never a bad thing. It's just I do feel too that after all this other stuff, it's a weird placement on the album. Maybe could have opened up side 2, or I don't know.
Yeah, because On the Rocks was a really weird weird opening.
Mhm.
Yeah, I will also give this one a 4. Really liked it. Love the energy of it. Love the guitar solo, how he started playing like at the end of the guitar solo, he started playing this kind of repeating lick, and then he started harmonizing it, but he wasn't harmonizing it in place. He was like moving the harmony piece around into different so it was, whatever he was doing, a fifth and then the seventh or the whatever, however he was harmonizing it was really, really cool. Yeah, it was I like it. Great energy. And then that leads us to our last track. Let's see how they close it off after that one, which is a track called Nervous. Yeah, you can expect to hear a little string rake.
You make me so nervous, but you better move away. You make me
Man.
so nervous, I'll hurt you, so move away. You do what is right for me. Behave so considerately.
Here's an example of him not matching the riff, and I think it works a lot better.
You plan out my future. You tell me what I should say.
All right, so yeah, definitely heavy in a different way. I feel like he probably could have brought this to like the Born Again sessions.
Man, you're just like, are we on like a delay? You're like split seconds ahead of what I'm gonna say all night. But yeah, this could have been like a slow doomy track on Born Again. It's a very dark song, looting and clotting.
Yeah. But almost like in the spirit of the later 70s Sabbath albums like Sabotage or
Yeah.
and even this part with all the delay solo, you could hear Iommi doing this.
Yep. Can't tell if that's just keyboards playing that. That would. It's cool. There's something about this riff that.
I really believed you when you said you tried
Drive me
to.
crazy, of course.
But now I'm looking right through you, and you only helped yourself.
Kind of sounds like a later Gillan. It sounds like more recent Gillan, like when he's letting out one of those like low, like he does that now.
Mm-hmm.
Like at this point, he could have really went for the high, but he intentionally going low on this one.
We probably went for the lower one to make it heavier.
Kind of a spooky ending.
It's a weird ass way to end the album.
Yeah, a weird song to pick and a weird way to do it and end it, but very haunting. It's like I feel like if I was like alone by myself, like late at night listening to that and it ended as just that thumping bass and thump, and it just hits that one note, I'd have to like turn on all the lights and put on something, put on some show tunes or something. I'd be afraid to be in my own house after having listened to that.
You're like dun dun dun, and then it ends, and then I like look in my closet, look under my bed, like grab a baseball bat, like, you in here?
Yeah, I need to go somewhere brightly lit to go sleep tonight.
Oh,
What do you think of Nervous? I can see why it's making me nervous. I'm like
makes
looking
me
around.
nervous.
Oh boy.
You're making me nervous. It's I'll give Nervous a 3.5 because it was I'd say it's a pretty good Gillan song, but it would be a better Black Sabbath song.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's it does kind of fit in a little more with some of these songs. I would say that if you took like, oh, like maybe the first two songs on side one and the last two songs of side two, and then you had like a couple of more songs in the middle that were similar to those, this probably would have been a better album overall, or maybe more cohesive, I should say. But those were the ones to me that were like kind of the most similar or alike. But yeah, this one definitely had like a heavy quality to it, which made it the same as those or a lot alike, but definitely like a lot creepier and brooding.
Yeah.
You know, and it had that kind of done bass line, kind of like what's that song on Fireball? No One Came.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was thinking I was thinking at the beginning when I said like string rake, it reminds me of the Running with the Devil. Don't. It's just a much slower tempo, but it's just whatever, whole notes or quarter note, whatever.
Yeah.
However, the time signature is, so it's not like that's why it sounds like that. It's exactly the same thing. But yeah, it has that kind of groove to it. But and this would have been Running with the Devil would have been out when this came out, so there is that. But I will give this one. I'm kind of on the fence about it, but I'm almost leaning towards a 4, but I'm gonna give it a 3.5 because I really do like the mood that it creates. It's a freaking creepy song, and but I really like it. But I think to me it kind of highlights that there's a lot of like I don't know what the right way to say it is, but there's a lot of like the mood on this album is very inconsistent, and not that that's okay, like it doesn't have to be the same mood, but to me it's not even that it's inconsistent, it's that it's like it takes you on this journey of like very like you're going up and down rather than kind of building towards a peak and then slowly letting you down or things like that. So it's just an odd journey, this album. And I can't imagine if you're switching this around and moving Running Whiteface City Boy, flipping that with Unchain Your Brain, and then swapping out Your Mother Was Right for Sleeping on the Job. I think it still kind of would have the same sort of it would have the same sort of weird disjointed nature to it, which which is cool in a lot of ways. So that is my that's my take on the last track on that album. All right, so how does this album, well, actually, while you tabulate up the results as to how this album stacks up in the list here, I will take us on a journey that is thanking our foundation level patrons, one of the most solemn and important jobs that we have to do here on the Deep Purple podcast. So here we go. Foundation level patrons coming at you. Where are they? There they are. Okay, at the $3.33 halfway to evil tier, we have none other than Rafcaf. At the $3 Nobody's Perfect tier, we have Peter Gardeau, Ian DeRosier, Mark Roback, Duncan Leask, Stuart McCord, Flight of the Rat Bat Blue Light, Ivan Fieldboo.
It's a great life in the dawn weekend.
And Runar Simonson.
It's a great life in the dawn weekend.
Coming in at the $1 made up name tier, we have none other than the nervous, leaky mausoleum. Stephen Somerville, the Concerto 1999 fanatic, Spike the Rock Cat, JJ Stannard, Hank the Tank, Private Eyes, Ashen Lionel, and of course, Sugar Tits. Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support with the Deep Purple podcast.
I forgot about Sugar Tits.
Yeah, I know. I could tell you did. I did too, honestly, until I got to the. Oh boy, the
That's
things we
great.
do. Okay, so John, how does this one stack up in the charts for us?
So we had a combined rating of 7.5.
Mhm.
Because I handed out a couple of fives at the beginning, my variance was higher than yours. I liked it a little bit more overall, but we have three albums that were rated exactly the same.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Tommy Bolin's Teaser
Mhm.
and Glenn Hughes' Play Me Out.
The bonus
And
track.
this with bonus tracks. Yes. So right below it is
Oh, that's-
Coverdale Page, if you want to look at variants. And
Mhm.
I guess above that is some more Tommy Bolin, James Gang Bang.
All right. Which we just gave you a
So-
little. We gave you a little teaser, no pun intended, of James Gang Bang.
Hey-oh.
Um,
Right. And so yeah,
the
so
only
this
album
falls,
featured on every episode going forward.
and I can't hear the actual lyrics anymore. It's just like I hear if you're Norwegian.
Oh no!
Which-
After last week, I'm thinking if you're from Sweden, I'm all messed up.
But yeah, that kind of falls like in the middle of the like middle to lower of the pack. And if you look at we have I know we were doing this for the Deep Purple proper albums, but it is actually so far the highest rated of the Gillan albums.
Mm.
Because we have Mr. Universe was I'm sorry, no, Mr. Universe was highest. I'm sorry, it's middle. It's middle. Because Mr. Universe was 7.67. This was 7.5, and then Gillan self-title was 7.3. So yeah, so we have enough of those. I know that a couple of episodes ago we had done if we're doing Deep Purple proper, where do those rankings lie? So I figured we've done a few Gillan albums. Let's sort those and see how we're doing.
All right.
So I would say that's probably a fair assessment. This
Yeah, Gillan's really coming into their own for sure.
but I agree with you. This kind of feels like at times kind of a disjointed collection of songs in places. But I mean, if you think about it, everything, the music was arranged and produced by the band.
Mhm.
So they didn't have like a Martin Birch or somebody telling them what to do or change this or that, or and I mean, that's kind of the charm to these albums. Sometimes is they're self-produced. They're a little more indie, a little more daring than they would have been if somebody like that would have been involved. So that's kind of the charm of some of it. But as an overall product, it can kind of, I think, hurt it a little bit sometimes.
Yep, absolutely. Jeff Bryce was kind enough to send along a bunch of his stuff, and I got some highlights here, some really cool stuff. If I can pull it up here. Where is this window? Let me open this up again. Sorry. It's not letting me share this for some strange reason. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we got he has the Glory Road tour jacket. Look at that thing.
Nice. Look at that.
Beauty right there. Looks just like the album cover. Glory Road World Tour 1980. That's a beauty.
It is.
Jeff, I'm just saying, just if that doesn't fit you, and if you want to send it over here, just let me know. I'll give you my address. I know you already have it, but I can give it to you again. Here's a single for No Easy Way Out. Isn't that cool? Another single there. And then this is really cool, which is the tour. It says the official Gillan biography. And this is such classic Ian Gillan, but it's basically in the tour program. It's a glossary. So it's very akin to that glossary we read about, like, that's whack and butters and all that stuff. So Gillan says, it has occurred to me that there are many cliches and expressions used in the music business for speed and efficiency, which you may not fully understand, although you may see them often in print and frequently tossed over the airwaves. Here is a glossary of terms together with my interpretation of their meanings, Ian Gillan. And then he starts off with alcoholic. The term is alcoholic, and he defines it as regional promotion man. He says big in Japan means can't crack it anywhere else.
I like that one.
Country and Western, big tits and Stetsons. Cult following is loyal fans. So he goes through all of these different things. Dope, a fool. Dope carrier, expectant mother of a fool. It's classic. Gillan had no editing. He just like wrote this all himself.
Yeah.
Classic. Headbanger, person with rhythm. Head case, X person with rhythm. Headmaster, X head case. Headhunter, C music journalist, and head case. So he goes through this, and then if there's a second page here where he just continues to go at it.
Wow.
I'll put these in the show notes so you can read through them, but I'm not going to go through every single one. But it's taking shots at music journalists and music publishers and every other thing imaginable. So it says rhythm and blues, Catholic method of birth control, rock and roll, Protestant method of birth control. Classic. So anyway, some pretty cool stuff. Nice tour program there. Thank you, Jeff, for sending that along. Yeah, and then going into the charts and the reviews, the album reached number 3 in the UK charts. And then that's what we were talking about earlier. The first 15,000 copies that were released in the UK had this For Gillan Fans Only disc, which will probably, so it was a double LP basically, but once they sold through those, and then it was just released as what we listen to here in the US, and then the version with a few different changes in the UK. But the For Gillan Fans Only, we'll probably cover that in a future episode someday, but it includes a bunch of different stuff. In 1989, the album was released on CD by Virgin with some of the tracks for Gillan Fans Only. So, not to complicate matters even more, there's a bunch of different versions of this that have been released over the years. So it's very, very confusing. Gillan says that Glory Road was his best work since Machine Head. And then after the album came out, the press was still hounding Gillan about a Deep Purple reunion. And Gillan would often answer them by saying, when they say, hey, is Deep Purple going to have a reunion? And he would say, hey, you should ask David Coverdale the same thing. Because at this point, both of them are off and they're doing their solo album. So he's like, I don't know if it's just to be funny or if it's just like, hey, stop bothering. Why are you bothering me about a Deep Purple reunion? Talk to some of these other guys. After this, a rumor circulated on Tommy Vance's show, and we talked about that at our Perfect Strangers episode. That's where they officially announced the Deep Purple reunion for 1984. But it was circulating around this time that Deep Purple was getting back together and they were booking shows in America. And this would have been, of course, Rod Evans' ill-fated new Deep Purple, which, we covered many moons ago. You can check out that episode 30 something, somewhere in there, I think. So Gillan was, I think, annoyed that this rumor was circulating, but it turns out it was a rumor, but it wasn't at the same time. It was true that Deep Purple was booking shows, but it was not the Deep Purple everyone thought it was. So then we get to reviews. Not a ton out there. The main one is really Simon Robinson in Stargazer magazine and Darker Than Blue. He says, very workmanlike, somewhat unadventurous too, with many cuts taking a similar style and level. Unchain Your Brain is case in point. Nothing too brilliant, but enjoyable. Are You Sure is great. The track is less cluttered than many of the album, and Ian really seems to be enjoying it. Running White-Faced City Boy is another which I like, very similar to many Gillan band tracks, but has a little more drive to it than most. Nervous seems quite adventurous, and Ian's throaty scream suits the track. And then he talks about the extra for Gillan fans only album is a ragbag collection of items mostly unavailable before. Your Mother Was Right is a lengthy outtake, which seems to be a bit unfinished, but interesting ideas all the way through. Then he talks about the rest of the stuff on that part of it. In Darker Than Blue, he actually put some stuff in from fans that they said about the album. One of them is Marcus Paisley says, keen on the cover. Why do they keep changing the logo? So at this point, they bounced around logos like a lot of bands had, but they eventually settled on this one. And Andrew Elliston says, side 1 didn't impress me much, but side 2 is brilliant. I'd rate it higher than all Gillan's post-purple stuff, except for the Japanese LP and some of Clear Air. My favorite overall is On the Rocks, then Nervous. Ian's singing is particularly effective. So that's what people are saying, or were saying 40-something years ago about this album. And there you have it, folks. Gillan Band, Glory Road. Let us know what you think on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're not on TikTok, but just let us know.
Let us on somebody else's TikTok account. Let us know.
Do one of those stupid videos with the woman's voice. Here's what people are saying about Ian Gillan Band. And then we can have clips from our show. I hate those. Those always like pop up. That's stupid.
It's the,
robot
yeah,
voice.
that's
What
yeah,
am
I know.
talking
Like,
about? Why do
yeah, at the risk of sounding like a couple of old farts. Like, what the hell is with that trend right now, where you have like the friggin' like the dial tone woman voice just being just like, he didn't know that I was outside the door. It's like, all right, what? Like, or like sometimes they'll have the guy voice, it'll just be like, I didn't know that this really worked. It's like, okay, like I
And sometimes
don't
they
get
show
it.
you something like obviously fake or whatever. Have you seen the ones? I think I sent you one of them where it's like the people doing like the Italian thing,
Yeah.
but they don't know how to do it. You can tell if somebody's Italian based on how they do the Italian hand gesture.
Yeah.
Because like these people, they do it all with the elbow. They're like this.
Yeah, they're
like-
putting too much elbow into it. You need to do it with the wrist.
Yeah, exactly. I was showing my kids. I'm like, look at these people are not Italian. They don't know how to do it because they're going like this. So now my kids will be like, oh yeah, they do it like this. It's too stiff. I was like, hey, you gotta loosen it up. Hey, what's the matter for you? And you gotta do it with the wrists, not this. They're all rigid. These people.
Yeah, no, they're just doing.
And I
just doing
apologize
it
if
for
you
the
don't know what we're
views.
talking about.
They're just doing it for the views. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a slave. I'm a slave to TikTok. I can't. I admit I'm on there and I'm watching the videos and I'm falling prey. Well, because it's not just about the dumb like skits and like the dances and everything. Like it started off as like a kids dancing app, but I mean, you
Yeah.
got people on there like young all the way to like older than us, and there's just anything from like people just doing like, rants and soliloquies and like their opinions to just, crazy overproduced, like still like dancing things or skits or whatever. And it's just like, for a few minutes at a time, it's addicting to just like sit
the
there
problem
and
is then
watch
you
all
just
of
like,
them.
oh, well, I'll look at one more. And then you're like, I just wasted an hour doing that.
And then all of a sudden I put down my phone and be like, wow, I just wasted my life. Forget about an hour.
yeah, exactly right. All right. Well, on that, folks, watch out for the new Deep Purple podcast TikTok coming soon. I don't even know what the hell we would do.
I don't know. It's just
Buy
like
into whatever TikTok trends are out there.
watch Tommy Bolin play with one finger. It's like,
why does Tommy Bolin always do the boo boo when he starts guitar solo?
you would be the one to figure out how to make the woman say that too. Like
boo boo. She would just do the same note.
boop. No, she go boop boop.
Why does Tommy
Boop,
go boop boop?
And like we'll have like 3 followers that'll just be like, I don't even know why I subscribe to this thing.
And even they won't understand what we're talking about.
We won't even understand what we're talking about.
No, I don't know how you could make it work. There's probably somebody else. We should look and see if there's any like Deep Purple related TikTok accounts. They had those great meme accounts on Instagram. We got to see if they've migrated over to TikTok. I just don't know what the hell you would do.
I don't know. I would say it's highly unlikely, but you never know.
Watch Ian Gillan's face when Blackmore refuses.
Oh, oh God. The what is it? The 10% of our younger audience will be laughing at this. Everybody else will just be like, have turned it
It's the
off like
perfect-
3 minutes ago.
It's 20 years too young for us. And then like Deep
Mm.
Purple fans are 20 years older than us on average. So it's like the worst possible format. We get no followers. Perfect.
Everybody's just tuned out at this point.
Exactly.
So with that,
Folks, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you again next week when we have another
Next
exciting
week.
topic for you. Next
next
week,
week.
we'll be here. All right. Well, thanks, John. Talk to you
Thank
later.
you, Nate. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Purple Podcast. If you like what you hear and would like more episodes in the future, please donate on Patreon to support the show. You can also leave us a review in Apple Podcasts to help new people discover the show. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for show updates. See deeppurplepodcast.com for more details. Thank you for listening.